Hello, everyone. This is Kay Francis, your host. It is what it is, or is it? And that or is it is really the main thing to think about. I want to tell you today that several years ago, before we had YouTube, I did a podcast on what's hidden in your baggage. Now, we all have baggage. And if anybody's out there and says they have absolutely no baggage, I would be very worried about you because I wouldn't say that you're lying because I would never presume that about you. But what I would tell you is that there's no way around it. You've either blocked it, stuffed it down, or are in denial. And I don't mean that you have to think about, oh, dear, that what she wants me to do is bring up any bad thoughts I've had. No, you need to be aware that we have baggage, because when we have it, that's when we can look at it, when we acknowledge it. And why would we want to acknowledge it? We would want to acknowledge it because that's when we can really start to work through it, so we don't have to, that garbage. It's garbage. It might have been your childhood. It might have been, so many different things. But usually it comes through your development in life and how you cope with it or how you interpret it. Sometimes you interpret it way worse than it is. Or sometimes you ignore it and you don't want to feel it. And you don't want to if it's painful, you don't want to let it out. So either way, think of it as garbage that's not good. And so are there ways, yes, there are, to lessen what that's about. Starts out, you might have a trunk full. Somebody might have a backpack. Think about a trunk full of garbage, which we can acquire throughout a lifetime very easily. Example, somebody's negatives and critical. They can fill up a trunk with all of those feelings, storing them, keeping them with them. They don't want to open up the trunk and say it's time to let it go because they're now feeding off of it in their adult life. It's manifesting in different ways. Okay? If you're denying it, it's coming out in some way or another. You could have a trunk full of anger. That could be your baggage. It could be a mixture of things. But just anger. You could be an overreactive person, and that's some of your baggage. Or you could be revengeful. Or you could be self-absorbed. Or you could blame other people for your own problems, your own issues, and never face up to the fact of what part did you have in those issues, or are the issues from long ago that aren't there anymore, but you want them there. They feed you good, you think. But then you have to take the consequences that come with that. And you're not going to be happy with that either. So what state of mind are you really going to be in? What kind of relationships are you really going to build? Good chance you may not have many friends. There's a good chance that you push people away and ruin relationships. There's a good chance that you're ruining your own success in life. And that's probably the worst of it all. Because you know what? Whatever it was, and whatever that baggage is in your trunk, you need to get it down to at least a backpack. But even that, when you think of the college kids, how much does that weigh on their backs? By the time they're 40, they're going to be bent over because they have so much to carry in it. And that's how you can kind of visualize your life. Kind of ho-hum. That nothing's just ever seems to go right. So the ideal thing is get it down to a fanny pack. That's not going to be so bad. You can live with that. That's not going to take much away from your success. It's not going to take much away from you having a comfortable life. Not everything's good in life. Everybody gets bad breaks. but you can't cope with them and have effective outcomes in your friendships, your workplace, within your own relationships and your own self inwardly, unless you deal with it. But you have to own it. And I've worked with people that they talk about it in a way, but it always seems to be underlying that they can't quite just say, hey, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I screwed up. They can't seem to do that. So in other words, they dance around it. And if it's an interaction with someone else, that person knows you're dancing around it. It doesn't feel authentic to them because you're not being authentic. You're trying to still make it okay that your baggage is okay. Now, I don't fault anybody for having baggage because we all have it. We didn't come into the world asking for it, but somewhere along the way, we built some baggage. So you have to ask yourself, do I have a trunk? Do I have a backpack? Or am I lucky enough that I was willing to really be honest with myself and say, this is my issue. It's not other people's. I can say, I have a reason for it, legitimately. This and this happened to me. Okay, but it's how you want to handle it is your choice. And if you want to keep banging away at, making excuses, you're just adding more and more baggage. And what do you lose out on? Friendships, often even in marriages, all types of things, your own joy. And really, when I say success, I'm not talking about a dollar sign. I'm talking about the success one feels when they love themselves, when they're honest with themselves, when they're able to take blame when they deserve it, when they're able to recognize, and that's the biggie, will they even recognize that they're not handling this baggage in a way that will lead them down the right path? Instead, they're keeping it, and that's their excuse for everything in their life that doesn't work. That becomes their excuse, their baggage. And only you can decide, do I need that excuse, really? Have I gone so far in life with all of this baggage that it's become a need because that's what I own, that's what makes me feel okay? Well, if that's a possibility for you, then you've got to look at how secure am I in myself? How confident in myself? Because really, when you decide to look at problems and work on them and do the best you can do and have the purpose and take care of the purpose you were put here to begin with, which was never a bad purpose, then you kind of have to stop and think, what am I doing to myself? Who am I proving what to? And what am I even proving to myself? Do I really feel happy keeping this going? It makes you feel terrible. It gives you a lot of insecurities. So think about it. Hidden baggage is not something you really want to hang out with. Not when you have a choice. And we were given free will. So if your life just is not going the way you would like it to go, I'm suggesting and recommending that you step back, be alone with yourself, and start to really examine, how do I interact with people? What do I really feel about myself? Things like that. You have to look around and say, gee, I was friends with them before. What happened? And you have to ask yourself, is this throughout my whole life? What's the common denominator? It's probably you. But it can be different. And that's the good news. You can choose to make those changes. Be hard. And do I know people who will never make the change? Yes, I do. I do. So I want you to think about this today, and I want you to look at it from a different perspective. I want you to see the joy you could have. Out, or maybe you're already there, and that's great. Maybe you're down to that fanny pack, and I hope you are. But just picture that little fanny pack and know that, okay, you can hang on to that if you want, because that won't damage you as the trunk and the backpack. I thank you for listening today. It's been a pleasure. I hope I've helped you maybe look at this differently and more honestly and openly and courageously. Never be afraid to be honest with yourself. That's where to start. We would teach children to be honest, right? Well, it should start with yourself. Sometimes that's painful. But you know what? It's so freeing to get rid of all that garbage and just start to be compassionate to yourself as well as others, to really like others enough and care about others enough, and that takes compassion, to be able to be helpful, to be able to show them respect and kindness and be supportive of them. Life is very short, really. It goes pretty fast. One day you're in kindergarten, the next day you're in school, high school, and then maybe on to college or on to your job, whatever it is. And then one day you find yourself alone. You don't want that. Nobody really wants that. And you don't have to have it. We even had someone upstairs who was told us, hand me your burdens. So if you haven't read the book, Let It Go, I highly recommend it. It's all $7.99, I think, on Amazon, and it deals with anxiety and fears. And it's a small book. It's like 62 pages, 3 chapters, and I highly recommend it. It's by Tony Evans, and like I say, it's on Amazon. Forgive me. It was on Amazon, and it is like I said. And by the way, there's a whole series on all different topics that he's written, such as Let It Go. So you might want to even look at some of the others. But start broadening your outlook on life. Start bringing in positive things, like reading a book that has some information that's educational and helpful at the same time. Start laughing more, whatever it takes. And don't take yourself so seriously. And always know that you're no more important than the other person. If you're grandiose and you think it's all about you, I hate to inform you, it's not. So take care of yourself. Know that there's people that want to love you if you love them, but you're going to have to love yourself first. If there's anyone that has questions about any of this, you have the email address. I will answer you. So don't hesitate. I'd be glad to talk to you. I hope from the bottom of my heart that you will take this opportunity to really think about this topic. Give it some real thought, because it can change your life. So thank you, listeners. I'm so happy that you're with us and we're growing. And remember, always keep your faith. Never give up hope. And know when to let go of your baggage. Thank you so much, and God bless.